Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Brianna's Bachelor Breakdown. I'm Brianna, your Bachelor Relationship Analyst. If you love getting into the nitty gritty of the drama and unpacking the relationships, then this channel is for you. As you can see, today we have a very special guest. I'm joined by Dimitri of Dimitri Tube. He started doing Bachelor recaps back, it looks like on Claire and Tayshia's season. I really like him because he always knows what everyone is thinking, and he has a really great eye for like fashion and everything. So Dimitri, would you like to introduce yourself?
It sounds like you already introduced me. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love talking Bachelor. Yeah, and you're right. I did start on Claire and Tayshia season. Is that when you started too?
I started Paradise last summer.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so my name is Dimitri and I also have a YouTube channel called Dimitri Tube where I review The Bachelor. So if you're interested, definitely check that out. In general, I just love reality TV. So I decided to start reviewing it. And I wouldn't say I have an eye for fashion, but I watch this for the drama and the fashion.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. So we're gonna be talking about week 5 on this recap today. So we open it up and we have a date card for Rachel's group of men, and we're also getting some like side-by-side shots of Logan, and he is kind of like, being very pensive, thinking about how, okay, now's the time to tell Gabby and Rachel my different feelings for each person. So what did you think about him secretly harboring feelings for Gabby this whole time?
So I may get dragged for this, but I thought it was fine. Like, even when you ask the question, like, all this time, has that much time really passed? Like, what has it been, like 3 or 4 weeks? So it really hasn't been that long. Also, Gabby and Rachel are still trying to figure out which guy they want. So it's not ridiculous for Logan to be trying to figure out which woman he wants. Like, yes, Rachel and Gabby were like, you all need to make a decision right now. But again, they still haven't made a decision. So for Logan to not have made a decision, I don't think is ridiculous. What do you think about it?
No, that's a very fair perspective. I did feel the opposite. I was kind of salty with him just because I'm with you. Okay, so I was like, it's fine for him to want to flip flop. Like, it's cool if he has a change of heart, whatever. He's still figuring it out. I think that's totally valid. My only issue is the fact that he decided, okay, I'm officially want to pursue Gabby. I'm not feeling Rachel, and then proceeded to accept another rose of Rachel's at the last rose ceremony. That's my only issue. I felt like I knew what his intentions were by that cocktail party, by that rose ceremony. So I felt like he should have had that conversation at the cocktail party.
But the only defense that I will give him is like, so during that cocktail party, that was when they had the biggest group date, right? The largest group date ever on Bachelor. It was that cocktail party.
No, that was the first group date.
Oh,
that was
no, no,
like a
no,
photo
no, no. Oh,
shoot.
yeah, I'm getting confused. Yeah, so the one you're talking about. Oh, sorry, that was my dog. Yeah, no, during the cocktail party. So that was the Hayden one when
Yeah.
Hayden got eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
So after Hayden's elimination, Jesse Palmer was like, Rachel decided to cancel the cocktail or cancel the rest of the cocktail party. So Logan had no time to talk to her. So I'm slightly on Team Logan because of that. Because when was he going to tell her? And remember, during the rose ceremony, Rachel was like, I'm sorry, we'll get a chance to talk next week. So they hadn't even talked all week.
Yeah. I don't know. I see what you're saying. I really do see what you're saying logistically. I just feel like he could have, like, when she goes to hand on the rose, he could have been like, "Hey, can I pull you aside?" You know what I
Ooh.
mean?
I see what you're saying, but it's just like, again, I'm just Team Logan because this is probably his first time on reality television. He may have not
Yeah,
known that was an option.
that's
But again,
true.
I've watched the show multiple times, so I know that's an option, but he may have not known or thought of that.
That's very true. And of course, the producers want more drama, so they would not
Yeah.
have told him that was an option. So anyway, either way, he does not disclose this information prior to this week. So he goes to Rachel's room, tells her the deal. And then Rachel she's really hurt. She's upset. She cancels the date portion of the group date. Chats with Jesse, he's super unhelpful. Chats with Gabby. They kind of have their girl time, see what's going on. So what were your thoughts on this whole like segment?
So we got to break this up a little bit. So the first part, Rachel talking to Rachel talking to Jesse Palmer. So Jesse Palmer, Jesse Palmer, Chris Harrison, Tayshia, and Caitlin, whatever hosted it, the hosts are not there to help you. The hosts are there to kind of just host. Like and keep in mind, the hosts work for production. So they're going to encourage, or if anything, push the messiest route. So they're not really there to help you. So I wasn't surprised that Jesse was like, no help. And then when it comes to, sorry, what was the second part of the question? It was
no, you're good. The second part
was a loaded question.
Yeah. So then she went and goes and chats with Gabby, and they kind of figure out what they're gonna do about Logan separately.
Wait, what did you think of her talking to Jesse Palmer though?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, I feel like he was super unhelpful. Like just the look that he has on his face when he's receiving information, or like when someone is confiding in him, he's just like he just, I get what you're saying, like these hosts are here to host, but he doesn't even try to look like he's in the friend role, you know what I mean? Like he just looks like bamboozled every single time. And you've watched the show a while, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so you remember, let me tell you, Chris Harrison, towards the end of when, like before he got fired or whatever, Chris Harrison did not give a darn.
He got worse over time.
Chris Harrison, and that's what Jesse reminds me of. Like he doesn't care. He's just there to collect a check. I hate to say it.
I feel like Chris Harrison at least tried to look like he's here. Jesse is just all over his face.
I don't know. Chris Harrison, it was just towards the end. He had been doing it for 20 years. So it was so easy for him. But the effort though, between him and Jesse Palmer is about the same to me.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And so that really made me miss Tayshia and Caitlin. Like, I get what you're saying about like, they are just hosts who like, they would have just been here to push the message of production. But I feel like just the dynamics, like they really missed out on such an opportunity with like 2 women leads and 2 like women hosts. Like I just would have really liked to see that. And I feel like they would have actually had something functional to say, whether or not they were pushing a route that was in the best interest of the lead is another question. But I feel like they would have at least tried to conjure up something.
Yeah, I like Tayshia and I liked Tayshia and Caitlin. I honestly only wanted them to host just because we would have gotten so many outfits. If it was Tayshia, Caitlin, Gabby, and Rachel, it just would have been nonstop outfits, and I would have loved that. And Tayshia's fashion was amazing. Like, loved Tayshia's fashion, so that would have been great. Yeah. But as hosts, like, I just feel like because they hosted Katie Thurston and Michelle's season, right?
Yes.
On Michelle's season, like they were not very helpful. I'm trying to think of an instance.
You didn't think so? I feel like a moment that stuck out to me was when, and this is a total sidetrack, but it was when Michelle felt like the guys were ignoring her at the group date. Do you remember that? The like slumber party group date?
Yeah.
And then Caitlin had a heart-to-heart with her.
I remember what you're talking about, but I don't know. I felt like they weren't that helpful, but maybe they were. I watched it a while ago, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to the Gabby, or excuse me, when it comes to the Rachel, when Rachel went to talk to Gabby, so the biggest thing that I noticed there was the moment Rachel told Gabby she didn't go on the date, Rachel was so shook. Like she was like, "Oh my God, you didn't go on the date," because I felt the same way. Like, so I get it, Rachel. You're in your feelings. You don't feel good about this, but girl, like these guys are here for you. ABC flew you to France. We have this huge cruise ship where all these people complain about the carbon footprint going around the ocean so you can go date. You are in Bruges. You're literally about to have a dream date in Bruges, Vienna, and you're just like, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
Like that I hate to say it, that was diva to me. It was very diva. I was
It was
like,
diva.
yeah, it came off as diva to me. What'd you think?
I don't necessarily think I thought it was like I understood where she was coming from. You know what I mean? Like I try to put myself in her shoes, and I was like, it probably would be hard for me to like conjure up being able to have the proper mindset to host a date that day. But and I mean, they're probably on a very tight schedule with production. I would have tried to see if we could have a date another day, like if we could just reschedule, like some sort of compromise of like, I'm not feeling it today, maybe we can reschedule, or like if we had 3 activities planned, maybe we could just do 1. You know what I mean? Like I would have tried to like find some sort of middle ground. I feel like if I were her.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I just don't know if they have that much pull. Also,
Yeah.
Rachel has canceled so many cocktail parties, and this is like a date. I'm just like, girl, these guys are getting to know you, and you're not giving them the chance to get to know you, and she's gonna be the one missing out.
Yeah.
Also, another thing I did want to point out. Sorry, can I got my notebook.
Oh, you're good. Yes.
Where was it? Also, when Rachel and Gabby were having their talk, Rachel made it all about her. She was like, this is so humiliating. He dumped me for another bachelorette.
That was weird.
If I was Gabby, I would have taken that personally. But
yeah,
Gabby responded to her and was like, I would feel the same way. So I'm glad she said that, because I would have started a scene and just taken it personally.
No, because that was kind of shady. What do you mean another bachelorette? Like I'm sitting right here. Yeah, no, I felt the exact same way. So what did you think about Gabby like feeling interested in Logan and like feeling like she was ready to pursue that after seeing how he kind of, I mean, he was respectful to Rachel. So I guess just seeing how he broke up with Rachel.
So I think Gabby handled it very well. Like, if you notice, she even said Gabby admitted like he was the only one with overlap, which I was actually kind of surprised about that. I was like, wow, like he was out of all the guys, he was the only one with overlap. I was like, I don't know. I just felt like I thought there was more overlap, but we just didn't see it.
Yeah.
I thought she handled it well. But I do think it's just not for her to keep him. It's just not the best look. I hate to say it. It's just like Gabby. It's a tough line to walk on, because we all know Rachel's sensitive. We've seen it. Rachel is super sensitive, and for her to keep him now, Rachel feels like it's a slap in the face to her. But again, that's just Rachel feeling like, again, Rachel, she makes it all about her. And I'm like, Rachel, this is not about you. Logan has more feelings towards Gabby than he does with you. Yeah. It's not about your humiliation, but you're making it all about your humiliation. But at the end of the day, would you want Logan to stay around with you if he's not even into you? Like that's not a good look.
Yeah.
And then did we get to is this the part where she's like, oh no, this is not when she spirals, but but I have more to say on this when she spirals. Yeah.
No, I feel you completely, because I felt like I understood that she felt rejected, like she was rejected. I can understand that hurts, but I felt like at a certain point, it wasn't even about Logan, like you were saying. Like I would get it if it was like a Tino or like a Zach or someone that she's like really connected with already and like was starting to picture a future with. But like Logan, he was just kind of like around, you know what I mean? Like I don't think that he would have even gone that far, like had he stayed on her like side or whatever. I don't think she would have ended up picking him that much longer either way. And so I feel like it was more about the feeling of being rejected as opposed to Logan in particular. And so I feel like at that point, she should be able to kind of like separate those two things in her mind and be like, okay, I'm not actually upset over Logan. I just don't like this feeling of like not being in control. That's essentially what it is. She doesn't like not being the one to make the decisions because she's a bachelorette and she feels like she should be the one eliminating everyone.
Somebody needs to tell her love it. Somebody needs to tell her love is a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's the only power contestants have on this show is the ability to leave. And they're allowed to play that card whenever they want.
Exactly.
And she doesn't like that. Yeah. So Rachel, yeah, she cancels the day portion of the date. She still is feeling up to the evening portion after party of the date. We have some chats with the guys. Did any of the conversations stand out to you, and why?
So definitely Tino.
Mhm.
I loved Tino during this part. Tino checked her. He was like, so Tino was basically like, when he had the one-on-one, he was like, today hurt a little bit. I felt like I wasn't being seen by you canceling the date. Like he basically was saying we could have had a great time together in Bruges. Yeah, there would have been other guys, but we still could have had a great time. And the thing again with Rachel, she's super sensitive. So um Rachel is, I hate to say it, Rachel is almost like kind of like one of those girls who is like, be honest with me. I want you to keep it real at all times, but you can't keep it too real.
Yeah,
Or you'll
like don't
hurt
hurt
her
my
feelings.
feelings.
Yeah, exactly. And Tino was able to convey it in a way that like didn't hurt her feelings, which was like perfect. Cause I feel like, I don't know Rachel, but I feel like if I knew her, me and her probably wouldn't rock. Cause I would just be too real for her.
Yeah.
But he basically checked her. He was like, yes, this is your journey, but you're not the only one in this journey, and you need to keep that in mind. And I was like, yeah, somebody had to tell her. What'd you think?
Okay, so I already knew that we were gonna have opposite opinions on this as soon as I asked the question. Okay, so I see what you're saying, and he did call her out, and those are his feelings, but I just didn't like his approach. I didn't like his buildup. Like, I didn't like how he sat down and he was like, you know, we're best friends. Like, you know, we can tell each other anything, like, da 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 da. And I felt like like I said, his feelings were valid. He's allowed to feel that way. And Rachel was super receptive to it, which I was like kind of nervous about how she would take it. Mm-hmm. But I just felt like him putting himself in this role of like, oh, we're best friends when they've known each other for like 2 minutes. It's just kind of like, I don't want it to get to a point where he feels like he can say anything to her because he's labeled it in this guise of like, oh, we're BFFs. Like, I'm your partner, I'm your future person or whatever. I felt like that could lead to like him influencing her feelings in a way, or like influencing her decision making. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I'm like jumping to like 10,000 conclusions, but I just didn't like that. Like, I can't put my finger on it, but I just didn't really like that lead up. And I didn't feel like he acknowledged what she must have been going through that day. Like, I felt like he was just kind of like, you know what, like, I didn't feel seen today. Boom, let's talk about it, which is fine. Like, he should have addressed that, but I didn't feel like he spent time being like, I also imagine on the flip side of that, like, you had a good reason for canceling the date. I'm sure you had a hard day. Do you want to talk about it? You know?
Yeah. So I'm Team Tino for this one. So the thing is, Rachel's been on the Bachelor. She knows how this game goes, and like she knows some of what Tino is going through. She does. Tino is stuck on a boat all day until you get a date. You're literally stuck in a boat all day. You have cameras, you're hanging with the guys, and you have to talk about Rachel all day. That's all you can do unless you go get a date. And yes, I see what you're saying. He should be more understanding of what Rachel is going through, but at the same time, Rachel needs to be more understanding of what he's going through. Like, they could have had a fun group date in Bruges, and again, Tino's probably never been to Bruges before. Like, yeah, I hate to say it, but Rachel, she's a pilot. She's probably like, oh, I go to these places all the time. These guys likely don't get to go to all these places all the time. So Rachel kind of robbed them of that. Yeah. And it's like, girl, yes, I get it. You're in your feelings, but at the same time, we got a show to do. So I feel for Tino on this. It's like, girl, pull it together. And again, if she does end up picking Tino, it's like, we could have had an amazing date in Bruges before we actually ended up together, and we missed the opportunity. So yeah, I'm Team Tino. And then the other part you said, so I don't think you're reaching. Like, I do see what you're saying about you feel like Tino was doing too much. So for me, when it comes to Tino, so for my opinion, Tino's in the lead. Tino's in the lead. Definitely. I very much think he's gonna win. And keep in mind, what we're seeing, he is probably feeling. Like, I'm pretty sure he knows he's in the lead. And especially, there was one small, I don't know if you caught this, there was one small moment with Zach. And Zach, or it was after, Tino got the rose. And then Zach was like, these feelings are real. I don't know how long I can do that. He said something like that. He had this one small moment. And I'm like, that really made me think, oh, Zach knows he's not in the lead. So, and that's the thing, like, some of these seasons they know who's in the lead, and I think Tino knows he's in the lead. So I feel like that's why he can get away with being like, oh yeah, we're best friends, we're this, because Ethan would never. So but Tino can get away with it,
and that's what bothers me, because I feel like when contestants know, like, have too much of that feeling, feel too reassured, they can get in their own way. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be like a Katie Greg type situation. Everyone knew that Katie was head over heels for Greg. Like, she was really feeling this man, and he wanted too much too soon, and he demanded it of her, and then it got in his way to blew up in his face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To me, that's more so just like, that's part of the dynamics between boy and girl. And then also that's just one of the issues with the Bachelorette. Definitely with the Bachelorette. And one of the reasons I prefer Bachelor is, like, a lot of the female leads, it's kind of tough for them to, like, hide their feelings. And a lot of times from the jump, you, like, know who they're going to pick. Like, for example, Nate and Michelle. From the first episode, From the first episode, I was like, oh, it's a wrap. He's top 2. Like, you knew. And then you could tell the guys knew too. The guys knew. That's why a lot of people were hating on, I think his name was Chris S. That season, so many people were hating on Chris S because they were just like, oh, he knows he's losing, that's why he's coming for Nate. But I'm like, at least he's trying. Like, you know, all these guys, you can feel it. If you're filming, you can feel who's in the lead. And I hate to say it, but a lot of the female leads make it clear. So,
and you feel like the male leads are better at hiding their feelings?
I don't know if it's
who's in the lead.
I don't know if it's better at hiding their feelings, but like, it's just, I don't know if it's production or what's going on, but just when it's the Bachelor and it's a male lead, it's often not as obvious. Like during Clayton's season, I thought Rachel was in the lead the entire time. True. And then she wasn't. And I'm like, okay. And I can think, and there's multiple other seasons I can think of that were like Juan Pablo season. Trash. Again, I had no idea who was in the lead. Like, we were at like top 7, top 8, and I was like, I have no idea who's in the lead right now. So just with the when it comes to male leads, more often it's not as obvious who's in the lead, but I feel like Bachelorette often it's kind of obvious. Yeah, and guys are gonna take advantage of that. Like, it's a guy thing. Like, why wouldn't you?
No, that makes sense, because you're kind of like, if she's already gonna pick me, there's not much I can do to like make her not pick me. You know what I mean? As long as I do what I need to do to get to that point. Yeah. So that's a good point. I just wish Tino would relax it a little. Like, that, to me, that would be a turn off. Like, even if I was feeling one guy and in my mind, I was like, he's probably like my number one. If he started acting like that, that would make me turn off to him a little bit.
I see what you mean, but I feel like that's just you and Tino with a personality conflict.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about Tyler?
What do we need to talk about Tyler?
Tyler's my favorite guy this season. Like, he really, so if you caught during when they were having the one-on-one, so Tyler brought her into that mirrored room with all the lights.
Oh yeah.
And then they like made out or whatever. So what I love, Tyler made her feel special. That is, at the end of the day, that's like all she wants. She just wants to feel special, and he did that. And I don't know. I just love Tyler. He's my favorite guy this season. I don't think he's gonna win, but
no, he could be like top 3, top 4. You know what I mean? Because he had.
We're already at top 4, which so he made it. What'd you think about Zach?
I really liked that scene. I liked that he took her to like do the screaming interaction or whatever, because I feel like that was a good way to acknowledge what she must have been going through that day, but like do it in like a lighthearted way. Like, let's let out some frustration. Like, I feel like that was a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, I think Zach and Rachel are cute, but Zach, for me, he's just like a little stiff. And like,
definitely.
A little awkward. I just feel like Zach, you could tell he's a cool guy and a nice guy. But me personally, I don't think I would vibe with him that well. And when it comes to Rachel, it's just, I feel like she's vibing with other people harder than she is with Zach.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I felt like he, in real life, seems like a person that's like maybe hard to get to know. Like he seems like he just kind of just walks through life and is just existing. I don't know. But I feel like Rachel opens up better to people that are like super forward with her, like more outgoing, kind of like the Tyler, what you're saying, like someone who's gonna like put themselves out there in that way. But she had that like one-on-one with Zach that I feel like really turned the tables for him because she got to see his vulnerable side maybe earlier than he would have like in real life, or like if they hadn't shown his like childhood photos or whatever, I don't think he would have disclosed all of that information immediately. Which I think helped him a little bit. Like I think the producers kind of like gave him a favor there to kind of push him along. So then we have Gabby's group date. So we have another exploring the city activity. They make some waffles, they go on a boat ride, they do some pickup soccer with the kids. Did anything stand out to you from this day portion of the group date?
Gabby's outfit.
Yep.
Her outfit was an absolute serve. She had on that black crop top with the long black skirt with the slit in the middle and the thigh-high boots. She looked absolutely amazing. And to me, she was giving like American Horror Story Coven. Like with the witches. If you know, you know. It's like basically there was like one of the American Horror Stories that had to do with like witches, but they had like a good amount of fashion that season, and that's what she looked like. But I definitely like loved her outfit, and the date was a fun date. Like it was kind of a mix of everything, and Gabby to me did a really good job at like a lot of times. So a lot of times these group dates this big can be like really awkward, but she made it fun and they did like a lot of fun things. And I wish we could have seen Rachel's guys do this. Like, it would have been nice. And then also, did you notice how like it was such a big shift? Like the first hour of the episode was like almost borderline depressing. And then once Gabby's date started, it's like, oh, we get to have fun now.
Yeah. No, this episode was really dragging the first half. I was like, nothing's happening, like nothing. I mean, stuff happened, but I was like, it was very anticlimactic. You know what I mean? Like Logan did his thing. I was like, okay. You know, like it was just kind of like, here we are. But then yeah, Gabby came on the screen. I was like, we're moving, we're having fun, we're out and about. And I agree. I feel like she did a good job of like making each guy feel like he was included in the date and like pulling each guy into each activity and being like, okay, like I'm gonna hang out with you at the waffle thing and like I'm gonna hang out with you at soccer, like making sure each guy felt like she wanted him on the date and that he wasn't just like, oh, here you are, like let's hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So then we go to the after party. And this is when Logan makes his official appearance. Of course, the guys are salty, uncomfortable, but they still have their normal chit chat with Gabby. So what did you think of the guys' reactions, and did any other conversation stand out to you from this after party?
So the one thing I noticed is like, so the music got like so dramatic when Logan showed up. Did you notice that? It was like such a shift. And we'll talk about that a little more later, but that was just the one big thing I noticed was at the cocktail party, the moment he showed up, it was like dramatic music. Everyone started talking about like he became like the talk of the town. And it was clearly they're trying to tell a story here.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is when Nate and Gabby had that one-on-one and he mentioned Logan for a second. So I remember that part. So the thing is with Nate, he's understand, like he was definitely like, oh, if you want to bring Logan back, like it was clear he was annoyed, but he was understanding about it. And sometimes when it comes to Nate, I wish he was more territorial. Like in that moment, I was like, dude, you're being too understanding. Like it's okay to be territorial over your girlfriend, like whatever. But I don't know that. What did you think of that?
I felt like it wasn't sincere. Like I felt like he was saying something that was like, if I tell her I don't agree with this, it's not like she's gonna change her mind. So I might as well say that I'm supportive. But I felt like he didn't actually believe that. Like he didn't obviously want Logan there. So I would have just preferred that he said nothing or just been like, okay, Logan's here. I see that you are now dating him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Do you think he's purposely trying to be the Bachelor, or you just think,
I feel like
he's just like,
a
or do you
nice
think he's just like,
guy. Like,
okay,
I
yeah,
hate to say it, like I feel like he kind of has that vibe of like, I need to say all the right things. And sometimes they are really genuine. Like, I don't think he's a disingenuous guy
okay,
overall, but I think his MO in dating is to like be the good guy and to just like be available and present and do what he thinks is the right thing to do. But sometimes that's really boring and like not everyone has the right feelings at the right time. You know what I mean? Like you said, if
yeah.
he's salty about it, he should just say that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think he has like any ulterior motives or anything. Like he's definitely a nice guy, but when he did say that, part of me was like, is this dude just trying to protect his image? Like
Yeah.
again, I'm with you. Like just be real. Be 100%. If you're annoyed, say that. Like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
super annoyed Logan's back. He ain't here for you. Like,
Yeah.
stir and again, we want clearly production wants you to stir the pot a little bit. Like
Right.
whatever. The other one-on-one I do want to mention though is Erich. So did you see he was like a bit self-conscious? They were talking about he was talking about how it was like kind of weird being on a group date after being
Mm-hmm.
on a one-on-one. And did you notice Gabby reassures him? I have another point to make on that, but we'll talk about that like later on.
Mm.
And then I do want to talk about Logan real quick. So when it comes to Logan, there's like a little bit of a connection, but I thought Logan and Rachel make way more sense to me than Logan and Gabby.
You think so? What do you think is like the difference that you saw?
I don't know. It's just I don't know. I felt like this on the first episode too. It just watching the chemistry and watching them together, Logan and Rachel just feel more right to me than Logan and Gabby. But I don't know. I can't describe it. It was just like a feeling I got when I saw them.
I feel like Logan is just one of those guys that knows how to play the game. Like at the end of the day, I feel like he knows what to say to like I think he knows how to flirt.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's just what it
he's
is.
definitely a talker. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, he definitely connected with both girls, but I just felt like he just knows how to talk to women. I don't think it's anything more or less than that. So I feel like he really could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Did you notice Mario's like interaction during that?
Yeah, it was nothing special.
Well, yeah. I felt like that was like the beginning of the end for Mario in a sense. I mean, of course, he hasn't had that big of a storyline
Yeah.
this season thus far, but I kind of knew he was going home during this after party because he was like, I need to take it upon myself to tell Gabby I'm here for her, like blah blah blah. And so he does that, and she's like, "Oh, I really care about you as a person." And she's like, I can tell you're ready for a relationship. And I just feel like there's inherently nothing wrong with those words. You know what I mean? Like those are good things that you want to hear from someone you're dating, but it just felt very distant. And it wasn't like, I really care about you, period. It's just like when you say I really care about you as a person, that's something you say to a friend or like a colleague, someone that you're not super duper invested in. You're just like, oh, you're a good person. And then like you're ready for a relationship, not like I'm enjoying dating you in particular. It's like, oh, you would make a good boyfriend for someone.
She was trying to let him down easy, because when you now rehearing you say it in this on this video, I'm like, oh my god, that cuts so deep. That is like tough to. I mean, she was just trying to let him down easy, but that, like,
Yeah.
you say it like that, it cuts up. There's a person out there for you.
Yeah,
That's
and
right,
you're ready.
and you're clearly ready, but it's
Yeah, so it's like, okay, he's going home. But so then we get into the one-on-one. Rachel has a one-on-one with Aven, and we explore the city again. I don't know about you, but I was really tired. I get really bored of like the same type of date back to back when there's no like structured activity. But they go on a horse and carriage, they go on a chocolate shop. Did you have any thoughts about the date portion?
I like the date. It was like, so when they explore the city, just because it's like, I don't know, it's lighthearted, it's fun, and it's like a city you've never been to before. Like, to me, it was cool to just see like different things. And then like none of the things they were doing felt forced. It actually felt like things you would do in Belgium. The only thing was that chocolate wrestling. I was like, I don't know if that really goes down in Belgium, but like everything they were doing this episode felt like stuff you would do in Belgium. Like they shared the flights of beer. They like when they were slapping the fish, it was just kind of like they went to a bar, but it seemed like something a gimmicky bar in Belgium would do.
Yeah.
And then riding the horse-drawn carriage, like a lot of major cities have that. Like you can do that in New York. And then like going to eat chocolate. Like what else would you do in Belgium? It just it made sense, and I thought it was cute. I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah. I feel like a theme of this recap is that we just have very opposite opinions on everything. Because I didn't dislike it. Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like seeing the same type of date back to back to back. I just get really bored. Like I just need an activity kind of thrown in there. But I do agree. It was natural, and I did feel like she and Aven were able to like have a really like natural experience together. Like nothing felt forced in their actual connection. So if I took my own bias out of it, I enjoyed the date. So then we go to dinner, and he opens up about his experience as a child of divorce and like how that impacted his different relationships, like with his parents. Did you have any thoughts about their conversation over dinner and the connection they shared?
Not not really. It was like I hate to say it, it was like kind of typical, you know, it's the night portion of the date, you know, when you go to the night portion, okay, this is where you got to unpack a little bit of trauma. And his, again, it was nothing. I don't want to like diminish his experience, but it really was nothing like remarkable. But did you see Rachel's outfit? She was given straight up grandma for this date. That little, it was like a long sleeve turtleneck, all black with the like I was like, girl, what are you wearing? Like, and if you, I don't know if you caught this, but like with when she had the date with Tino, she pulled out all the razzle dazzle. But then when it comes to Aven, she looking like a grandma. I was like, I'm like, Rachel, can you at least like kind of act like more you're interested in some of these other guys? Like, let's pretend.
Yeah, no, that dress looked really cheap. Like just the rhinestones alone, I really had to do a double take. I was like, The Bachelor, I can get this at Forever 21. Like, why? What are we doing?
Not Forever 21. So I don't know if you've heard that. I don't know if you listen to like other podcasts and stuff, but like apparently there's like a video going around on TikTok. I heard this on a podcast. I've been having so much video editing to do. I haven't had a time to check it, but they're saying Rachel purposely wanted to look like Mother of the Bride. And I'm just like, why would you want to look like that? Like, I don't know. Again, I haven't verified if it's true, but that's what I've heard.
I cannot. Yeah, no, I did not enjoy that. And I agreed about like the actual conversation that they had. I felt like waiting for the mic to drop, like the other foot to drop with Aven's story. I was like, okay, we got divorced parents. Oh, okay, now we're at the end of the story. Like I was just kind of like, oh, all right. Like and like you said, not to invalidate his experience, because that's definitely something like that clearly impacted him and something that he's clearly like, you know, gone through, but it just wasn't doing a lot for me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't too moved by the like little bracelet thing that he gave Rachel at the end. It felt very reminiscent of the bracelet that Brandon gave Michelle from his mom. But that literally made me almost tear up. I remember watching that portion with Brandon because it was just so sweet, and Brandon was such a sweet person. And Aven just kind of pulls this out of his pocket. He's like, here's this rubber thing. He like doesn't even provide any like backstory. He doesn't provide any connection as to like why his mom would make that or like what it symbolizes. He's just like, oh, here's some rubber for good luck. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's why I didn't hit as hard, because Brandon had a super significant story behind it, and then also again, don't let the editing fool you. Editing really helped out Brandon too. So
Yeah.
also, oh, and one last thing I do want to say about Aven and Rachel, I in defense of Aven, Rachel loves kissing this guy. Like they could
Oh
not stop
yeah.
kissing each other. I was like, oh, she really likes kissing him. I was like, oh, okay, Aven.
Yeah. So then we have Gabby's one-on-one is with Johnny. I'm really excited that they finally had an activity. We go to a brewery, they do some tasting, they have a spa day. What did you think of the day portion of their one-on-one?
Wait, I want to know what you think of it first. But you go first this time. What did you think of it?
I had a great time. Like I said, I was wanting something structured, I was wanting something planned. So I really enjoyed it, and I felt like the spa day, it was like kind of eccentric. Like I'm really sick and tired of the Bachelor just having a hot tub and having that be the whole activity. So I'm glad that it was like they had a twist on it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, here's this tub of beer. Like that's kind of quirky. And I liked that. I feel like Johnny was able to match Gabby's energy. I feel like anyone going on a one-on-one with Gabby knows that they gotta bring it with like the humor and the playfulness, and like they know they gotta like be at her level. And I feel like he really brought that on the date.
Yeah, I feel like so definitely. So I thought Johnny, so far this season, Johnny has been like kind of dry to me, which is crazy because he's a realtor, and I'm like, you're a realtor, but you dry. Like I don't understand. But definitely with Gabby, he's more fun. Like she can definitely bring it out of him, and I really like that. And then also, in my opinion, this was a weird date when they did like the beer bath. This is a weird date, but they made it fun and they had a lot of fun with it. Like a lot of times, specifically on the Bachelorette, when they give these weird dates, the contestant will just make it like more awkward or more weird. But that didn't happen. They really rolled with the punches and had fun with it, and I like that. If you remember, on Matt James's season, he had a date with Michelle, and then they had the spa day, but it was with like butter on that.
No, that was Michelle and Brandon.
No, it was definitely Michelle and Matt James.
Really?
Yeah, remember they went to the Pennsylvania, because I only know because what's it called? Where did Matt James have his season? It was Nemacolin. Yeah, because Nemacolin's in Pennsylvania. They went to that Pennsylvania Dutch spa or whatever, and then they had the butter.
I do remember the butter.
Weird. Yeah. It was just weird because Matt is like kind of dry, and he wasn't able to make it more exciting. Whereas with this, it was like Gabby's exciting, and then Gabby pulled it out of Johnny, so that definitely made it like more fun. Yeah. But also, I thought it was. You've smelt beer before, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you're meant to bathe in that. Like,
no,
I feel like your pores would just smell like beer, and it wouldn't be like a good
I was thinking that
like,
the whole time. I was like, they gotta get dressed up in like 3 hours, and we're here bathing in beer.
Yeah, that, and then like I just think like if you've ever been hungover, how it kind of like seeps through your pores. Could you imagine? Like it's reverse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like,
Yeah, and then Johnny was like tasting it. I was like,
oh yeah, I wouldn't have tasted it, but I mean, there's alcohol in it, right? It'll clean.
Yeah. So then we go to a nice cathedral and we have dinner. Johnny opens up about struggling with depression, and Gabby kind of reflects a similar experience. So what did you think about their chat and the connection that they shared?
Yes, I do. There is something I want to say about this. So Johnny said he was like, initially when he meets a partner, he's like often guarded and he's like nervous to be himself. And then he says later on that when he is himself, they'll push away. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, so why don't you just be yourself from the jump? I felt like if you're 100% yourself from the jump, then like when you meet that person, what you see is what you get. Yeah. But I feel like if he is guarded and stuff at first, and then later on he opens up and they push him away, I feel like some girls may take that as him being fake. It's like, whoa, this is not the guy I met. Like he's completely different. And then also, he also says during this part, he doesn't exude confidence and he's the least confident person. And I'm like, so how are you a realtor? Like, I'm confused. Like, how are you?
You're really stuck on this.
Because again, it was just he kept saying things that were just so opposite to like every realtor I've met. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And then for the depression part, I don't really have much to say on that, but I do like how Gabby connected with him on that. I think she definitely put him at ease. Like Johnny, I don't think he wanted to talk about that, but she definitely put him at ease about talking about that. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, I felt like you had a really good perspective about the first part of what he said about how like people push away when they like when he starts to be himself. Because at first I was like, well, that's super relatable. Like I feel like it's a very common experience for you to feel like I can finally open up to this person, and then they're like, just kidding, actually let me dip out. But I didn't think about it from the perspective of like, if you're just yourself in the beginning, then people can just go ahead up front and choose whether they want to, get to know you or not. So he kind of was doing himself a disservice, it sounds like, in those previous relationships, if he waited to really showcase his true personality until he felt like the person was like hooked in a sense. Because that can be a little jarring to be dating someone for a few months and then suddenly their personality, I mean, I don't know what switched up. Like, I don't know what would change. But if it was something like really big and noticeable, that can be kind of like unnerving. In regards to the depression chit chat, I had mixed feelings. I mean, I'm glad that he was able to acknowledge it and was able to be comfortable to share it. But in her like confessional off to the side, Gabby was like, he's opening up to me about things that I don't think that he shared with anyone else. And she seemed to have a positive reaction to that fact. To me, that would have been very alarming.
Why?
Because I personally, like, I feel like obviously we know these dinner portions, like, you unpack some slight trauma or whatever, but I feel like typically people unpack something that they've already processed. Like they unpack something that's like they've gone through, it shaped them, but they've already processed it and they know what is going on. I don't feel like people pick something they're currently sitting in. And like, he literally was like, I should probably talk to someone about this. Like, it literally sounded like a brand new topic that he had not disclosed to anyone about. And to me, that'd be alarming because like, I don't know you. And like, it does not make me feel comfortable for someone to be on a first date with me and you're telling me something that you have not told anyone else. Like, why do you feel comfortable sharing that with a stranger?
We just see the world differently because if I was Gabby, again, so I wish it wasn't specifically trauma, but like Gabby, that probably made her feel a little special. Like, wow, he felt comfortable enough that he can open up to me. And you said this on like one of your previous reviews, like oftentimes guys will not go to therapy. They will not process their trauma. They'll put it on to like their girlfriend, wife, et cetera, et cetera. And again, that's probably not the best way to do it. But again, I know some girls would react to that and feel oh my god, he felt comfortable enough with me to do that. And that's kind of the vibe I got from Gabby. She meant it more like that. Also it's, as the lead of this show, you're kind of like in a weird position because like we said earlier, this show, there's a formula when you go on the night portion. Okay, we're going to unpack some trauma. So even if Gabby, because keep in mind, this is Gabby's perspective. Gabby's like, I felt like he had never talked to anyone about this before. So that's just what she thinks. So regardless, so even if you think that, like Gabby, you still got to ask the question. Like, again, we have like, the producers are like, okay, you need to make sure you hit this point. So regardless, whatever he gives you, you have to ask the question and you got to respond to it. So
no, I feel you on the like making you feel special, because it's not like I don't want my partner to feel like they can't open up to me. It's just the timeline. Like, if this is happening on a first date, you're up pouring all this stuff. And of course, the Bachelorette is a totally not like real life. So like, taking that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I feel like, a couple of dates in, a month in, if you feel like you want to reveal to me this type of information, I'm here to discuss it with you. But like a first date, let's stick to surface level.
But again, this is the Bachelor. People fall quickly.
That is true.
We have a timeline. We need to open up. Let's go. We ain't got time to take months to process.
That is very true. Clearly,
this is supposed to end an engagement.
Yes, clearly they did not cast me as a Bachelorette for a reason, and that's fine. So then we move into the cocktail party, And we really don't see much between Rachel and her guys. It's really just a lot of check-ins between Gabby and her guys. Did any conversations from here stand out to you, and why?
Can we talk about Gabby's outfit first? What did you think of that?
Be another opposite moment.
What did you think? Did you like her dress?
Okay, so yes and no. Technically, yes, I did like it. I thought it looked really good, but it was very reminiscent of her night one dress. So I felt like I'd already seen it before. Like it just felt like a different color.
This dress was so sexy, and it was see-through. Again, I'm actually shocked ABC lets her wear some of the stuff she does, because I remember at one point she was having a one-on-one with Nate, and they like zoomed in. They were holding the chocolate. They were holding the chocolate, and they zoomed in, and it was so see-through. I'm like, ABC, how did you not blur that out? Again, I thought she looked good, but this was just she loves a see-through number, because this was like pretty see-through, and also her night one was pretty see-through as well. But yeah, when it comes to the conversations, definitely the Nate one. I brought this up a little too soon. But yeah, when Gabby gave Nate the chocolate and it was for his daughter, that was like just such a cute moment. I really love that. Did you like that part?
I did. I thought it was really sweet, and I think it's a really good sign when the lead is kind of bringing stuff to you, because I feel like the contestants can set up special moments or like gifts all season long, and it's like, okay, like that's cool, but like when the lead is kind of initiating that or reciprocating that for a contestant, that's how you really know like who they're feeling. So yeah, I thought that was very thoughtful.
And then the other one that stood out to me was Erich. So this is what I want to bring up earlier. So if you saw during their one-on-one, Gabby was reassuring Erich again. Like I don't remember what she said specifically, but she was reassuring him. She's like, I don't remember. She was reassuring him that she is there for him and like likes him. And I'm like, so Erich needed reassurance then, and he needed reassurance earlier in the episode, and it's giving insecurity. And then also, I'm like, why does he need this constant reassurance? Like, is he uncomfortable competing against these other guys? And like how you said earlier with Tino, you felt like Tino was trying to exert control. To me, more so Erich was trying to exert control, because all this like he needs to constantly be reassured that he's still in the competition. And I'm like, when you're on this show, they can't tell you, oh yeah, you're gonna get a rose. They can't tell you that. So by him constantly reassuring, to me, it was very much like he wanted her to tell him that he's getting a rose without actually saying it. And I don't know, it's just, you need to have faith in the relationship, and to me it just felt like Erich has no faith in their relationship.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's always one contestant like that. Like there's always one contestant who's like really like they revolve all their conversations about the reassurance. And at first I'm kind of like, I get it, like this is probably a very tough situation to date in, like, you know, that's fine. But then if they make every conversation about that, it's kind of draining, because then I feel like I'm not getting to know the contestant, and I'm sure the lead probably feels like that as well. If they're constantly having to talk about the relationship and check in about the relationship, you're not spending time discussing like, do we actually want to be in a relationship? Like, what are we actually connecting over? Just the fact that we're both here and attracted to each other, you know?
Yeah. And then also during this part, so when it comes to Logan, the guys almost like blamed Logan for canceling the cocktail party. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He was like, they were just like, Logan's gonna be the reason I'm not getting time. And I'm just like, Logan didn't cancel the cocktail party. Rachel canceled the cocktail party. And at one point, Spencer even said, if I don't get a rose from Logan, if I don't get a rose, I'll be, or if I don't get a rose because of Logan, I'll be extremely upset. And I'm just like, Spencer, if you don't get a rose, it's because Rachel doesn't like you. It has nothing, or it's because Gabby doesn't like you. It has nothing to do with Logan.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people love a scapegoat. You know what I mean? Like people love to like feel like, oh, that's not actually my fault. Like it's not because I didn't try hard enough or because we don't have a connection. It must be this other person who's not involved in my relationship at all. So I totally felt that. And then when we do move to the rose ceremony, I want to be honest, I really don't watch rose ceremonies. They're very boring to me.
That's the pageantry. You gotta watch it. And especially, I'm not gonna lie, these ones are kind of cool. They're like on a boat. So it's like
that's true.
I'm like, oh, this is something new.
So I don't know if anything went down on Rachel's side. Did anything go down on Rachel's side?
Do you know who was eliminated, or should I spoil it?
I know from Gabby's side who was eliminated. I don't know about Rachel's.
Yeah, so Rachel Meatball was eliminated.
Oh, Meatball.
Not you caring about Meatball. He's part of the reason she feels so rejected.
That's true. I just love saying the name Meatball. But I know he's gonna be on Paradise.
Also, I don't know if you caught this, but it was like, did you see when Rachel sat down with all the guys and was like, if you don't want to be here, just leave right now.
Yeah.
Dealing with all this rejection is tough. And in my head, I was like, Meatball is definitely sitting in this room right now. And he rejected you on the first episode. So for you to be like, I don't know, it was just, I was just trying to picture that. Like, clearly the camera didn't show him, but I'm just like, I know Meatball is in this room right now. Like, how, like, what would, like, if you were Meatball, what would you be thinking at that moment?
Meatball is probably just like, she must not be talking about me. Like, I feel like Meatball is just in his little spaghetti sauce world.
Yeah, so Meatball got eliminated, and then for Gabby, who was it? It was Michael, Mario, and yeah, Michael and Mario got eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with that. I wish we could have saw more of Michael, but because to me, Michael was super smooth. He was super smooth, and I liked his voice. It's just his beard, like his beard needed some work, but we didn't get to see a lot of him, so I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like we didn't see a lot of him, so I didn't have an opinion of him. But towards the end, he was starting to kind of bother me because he kept calling Gabby's team in the trenches. He was like, Logan has not been here dating Gabby in the trenches. And I was like, this is not some sort of war zone. Dating Gabby is not a battle. Like, why is this your association in your head?
I think production kind of gassed them a little bit. Like, they kind of made it Gabby's team versus Rachel's team.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, you could tell, I would much rather be in Gabby's house. You could tell, like,
yeah, it's more fun.
That's the fun house. Like, they got to do the boxing date. They actually got to explore Belgium. They got to do what did Rachel's side really get to do? So clearly, there's definitely, you could see, like, behind the scenes, there's probably like a our house is better type of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wasn't surprised about that, but
yeah, no, I feel that. So I was not surprised about who ended up going home for Gabby's side. Did you agree with her decision though to keep Logan, even if you weren't surprised?
So I have mixed feelings. So again, I'm fine with her keeping Logan, but one part. So at one point, Rachel said, remember the part when Rachel was like, I feel like Logan, like, she feels like Logan is not here for the right reasons. He strung me along. Do you remember that? So I do believe in women's intuition. And I feel like Rachel just feels something with Logan. And it's just like, it's something evil, or not evil. I don't want to say evil, but she just feels like he's not here for the right reason. Something, her women's intuition is going off hard. And she basically like warned Gabby. And Gabby still kept him. I do think because of that, I feel like he should probably be eliminated. Like, I can't pinpoint a reason, but I'm just like, ooh, when that women's intuition's talking, I'm like, you should probably listen to it. What do you think?
No, I felt the same exact way. And I think I feel the same way as Rachel. Like, I don't necessarily trust him, but it's because of what I said earlier. I think he's just a flirt. I don't think he's here to be serious. I don't think he's actually here to be engaged. I think he's here to talk to two attractive women on TV and see who will like him. Like, I think that's what he's up to. I don't think it's malicious. I just think that he is just out here to date.
Yeah.
And so on the one hand, I didn't agree with Gabby's choice because she's trying to find an engagement. She's serious about this process. I don't believe that he is. But then on the other hand, the part of me that watches for the drama, I did agree. Because I was like, we can have another villain potentially. So I was happy about that.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to the end of the episode. Was there anything that you felt like we didn't touch on, or any final thoughts, predictions, anything you'd want to?
No prediction. So I don't really do prediction. I just kind of, so like on my channel, I'll just like have towards the end, like a few episodes in, I'll make my like top 4 prediction, and then towards the end, I'll make my like top 2. But I just kind of go with the punches, like with the show as it goes. I'm like, we'll just see what happens. But I do want to say, so do you find yourself comparing Rachel and Gabby? Because I want to say, out of all episodes so far, I was comparing them like crazy this episode, especially because, again, I Rachel is great, but it's just like Gabby delivered this episode. Like
Yeah.
Gabby in general. So for example, when it comes to the hair, Gabby gave us so many hair looks this episode, whereas Rachel, it was just like hair down. I think when she had the date with Aven, the night portion, she like had her hair pulled back, but other than that, it was like the same hair looks. And then Gabby is giving us this crazy, over the top, super sexy fashion. She gave us that the daytime look was just so much fun. She was and she's just giving us so much looks, whereas Rachel, it's just not as exciting. And I hate to say it, but like when they're together, it makes Rachel look worse.
Yeah.
And especially the first, how you said the first part of the episode was like so dry, because she spent the first part of the episode like crying most of the time, and then we turn to Gabby and she's having fun, she's meeting men, she's enjoying these dates, she's hitting guys with fish. Like, I hate Gabby's giving us more range. I hate to say it.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. And I hate to compare them because I know that's what the producers want. I know the producers set up the season to pit two women against each other. And like, as a feminist, I'm not here for that. But as someone who likes the drama, I I can't help but do it. And I agree with like the fashion thing. Like, I felt that way from day one. I felt like Rachel, I always want to like her outfits. Like, I always try really hard. But I just feel like there's always something missing. Like, either like I feel like she wears really washed out clothing a lot of the time. Like, I feel like the colors, she picks a lot of beiges, a lot of pastels that I don't think do a lot for her skin tone. Whereas Gabby, she tends to go for more darker colors to kind of like highlight her skin tone a little bit more, and she does more daring looks, like you're saying. Like, she has more low cuts, more see-throughs, more like razzle dazzle. So I definitely 100% agree with that. In regards to how they carry themselves, I feel like they're on two completely, like, they look for two completely different things in terms of their relationships. I feel like Rachel is looking for a spark. I think she's looking for a connection, butterflies, like who she can make out with. Like when you mentioned about Aven, like they have a lot of physical chemistry. I think that's very high on her list. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, of course, the person you're gonna marry, you want to be able to have that with them. But I think she places a lot of emphasis in that. And I feel like with Gabby's conversations and her connections, we've seen a lot more emotional depth and like really getting into the heart of like who these guys are that she's dating, so she can figure out who she's like compatible with, essentially. I haven't seen as much of that exploration with Rachel. Her questions are more just like, can you handle me being a pilot? Yes or no?
Are you still are you still satisfied with both of them as bachelorettes, or do you think one of them should have been bachelorette and the other one shouldn't? Or are you still happy they're both bachelorettes?
I mean, the obvious answer is that Gabby could have.
I don't want the obvious answer. I want your answer.
My answer is yes, because I feel like they were chosen partly because they both got screwed over from Clayton's season. And so I felt like they both are equally deserving of love because they had a similar journey. So for that reason, yes. But like, Gabby could have carried the season by herself. And she is.
Yeah, for me, so I'm still happy they chose both. If Rachel had her own season, I would have been bored to tears. Like, I already know it would have been super. Hate to say it would have been boring. And then when it comes to Gabby, I love Gabby, but sometimes she's just a little too unfocused. And I'm like, if she had a whole season, I just don't think it would have worked. I think having them together works. And the only problem is just Rachel cannot get over, like, Rachel, you're sharing the lead spot. And especially that point when she said, I'm supposed to have 7 guys right now and I only have 5. Girl, you can only end up with one anyway. So just make
Yeah.
the best of it. It's just like if she focused more on making the best of things, it would go a lot better for her. But she's not doing that at the moment. And it's tough to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Dimitri.
Thank you
I
so
know
much
you
for
said
having me.
yeah. I know you said it at the beginning, but let the people know where they can find you. And it'll be in the description as well.
Oh yeah, perfect. So yeah, my channel is Dimitri Tube, Demetri Tube. And yeah, check out my Bachelorette reviews. The one for this week, hopefully I can get it out by a decent hour tomorrow. We'll see. Where my job was tripping today, but I'm gonna push through.
Yes. Well, thanks again. This was so much fun.
Okay. Have a good one.